All right, we are live. We are live. Me, myself, and I. What's going on, everybody? Just getting some screens set up. Kind of a last minute decision here to do the stream. I'm trying to do it every Friday if I can. Usually I'll schedule it. Sometimes I just have to do the best I can, which is what I just did today. Let's get this thing live. I'm not certain that we'll keep this one. If you're joining, you may see this live and then be like the only person that sees it if you're live, because I don't know if I'm going to save it because I'm already rambling quite terribly. Yeah, we're just getting this bad boy squared away. Do me a favor, if you are joining me, say hey in the comments. Love to see you in the chat. I'm going to keep chipping away here as we get set up. I set up the stream about 4 minutes ago. I usually try to stream on, I try to stream at noon on Fridays, noon Eastern in the US. And I need to set it up in my calendar, my own calendar, as a repeating. Because what ended up happening a couple days ago is somebody rescheduled an appointment and they rescheduled it for noon today. And there was an open slot in my calendar. And I was like, had this weird feeling like, well, I think I'm doing something at noon, but there was nothing in my calendar. And so, of course, I said, yeah, that'll work. And then so it was a half-hour meeting. Come 12:30, I wrapped up, went downstairs, thought, well, let me grab a bite to eat. Was talking to my wife and realized, I never live streamed. But here we are. It's about almost 20 after 2 on Friday. Hope you're doing great. Let me know in the comments what's going on. Oh, French Monkey, the French Monkey. Hey, Mike, all sounds good. Thank you for telling me. I was just about to say, let me know in the comments if the audio sounds okay. Thanks for joining me. Where are you hailing from, French Monkey? Are you in France? Or are you maybe north of the American border in Quebec or something? I don't know. But I'm glad to have you along. Thanks for jumping in. Happy to have a good Friday here. I don't know about you, but the weather in Charleston, very kind of dreary, rainy, cool, which is kind of nice, actually. It's nice to get a little moody weather once in a while. You do, living near the ocean, get moody weather pretty often, but it's been nice to have kind of a dreary, wet day that you can stay indoors. I've got a couple good books that I'm almost done with. I've been reading Dante's Divine Comedy. And so there are 3 main books in the Divine Comedy. And if you're listening, you just heard the neighbor kid across the street fire up his obnoxious truck. He's got, the French Monkey says, there he goes, the kid's pulling away. He's a good boy, but he got this truck, and oh my gosh. The French Monkey says, I'm French Greek. I live in Greece. Cheers from Athens, my friend. Cheers. I have spent some time in Athens. I've been to Athens, my wife and I. Lovely, lovely city. We really enjoyed our time in Athens. I had a conference there once for like a 3-day conference for entrepreneurship. And I said to my wife, why don't you come with me and we'll turn this into a vacation. So I did about 2.5 days at the conference and then played hooky for the rest. We spent a bunch of time in Athens, went down to Piraeus and caught a hydrofoil, like a Soviet-era hydrofoil, and spent a week on the island of Spetsis. And just amazing, amazing time. We loved Greece. We were like, oh, we could live here. It was just so nice. And the people were great. People treated us so well. Western civilization. I just finished reading a handful of Plato's dialogues. So, Greece always top of mind for me, both historically from a literature perspective, but then just personal experience. We love Greece. And we've also been to, Corfu. So that's the other Greek island. Of course, that has a heavy Venetian influence, Corfu. Amazing castle fortress there. Lovely, lovely place. So yeah, welcome. Hope you're doing well. It's pretty late in the evening, I would imagine. It's probably like in the wee hours of the morning. I want to say you're at least 6, if not more, hours ahead of me here in the U.S., but hope you're doing great. But yeah, I was saying I've got it's rainy weather. I've got 2 books that I'm almost finished reading, and one is Dante's Divine Comedy. Essentially, Divine Comedy, the Divine Comedy, or the Commedia, is a 3-volume collection, and you have 3 of them based on the 3 kind of areas of the afterlife: hell, purgatory, and finally paradise, heaven. So they are named Inferno for hell, Paradiso for Paradiso for, no, sorry, I back up. Purgatorio for purgatory, and then Paradiso for paradise. Of course, that's based on the Catholic theology. French Monkey says, yeah, it's great for some vacations. Islands are great as well. Been to a couple islands myself. So were you born in Greece or born in France and moved to Greece? We just love Greece. I mean, it's beautiful. The history is amazing. The architecture, the food, the people, the climate. I mean, it's hard to beat. Now, I know every country has its issues, and I know the immigrant crisis has been a problem. There have been some government crises. The economics have been tough, and I want to say too that the impact of the EU, I think, has been kind of hard on Greece. In some ways, Greece has benefited from the EU and been able to get funding and social support, etc. But at the same time, it's come at a cost. And if you were a Greek farmer and you had some crop, that you were running, well, the EU could really throw a wrench into that. So, yeah, glad to have you along. I'm just doing a little bit of skimming here. Great. Okay. Good. So if you're just joining us, don't be shy. Be like the French Monkey and say hello in the chat. Honestly, at some point when I become a big YouTuber, I will probably put more thought into these live streams, and I can come and do some type of like live presentation. That was my idea, is that, and I'm not giving up on it. Today I'm just firing up the camera because I had nothing prepared, and I'll be darned if I let the day go by. And quite frankly, I enjoy streaming. What I love about streaming, I don't know about you, but I like connecting with you, my audience. I love chatting with you guys, love getting to know you. I love the repartee, and I should say, and the chit chat and just the interaction. I really appreciate that. And so for me, live streaming is just really a blessing as a creator, because it's not just me talking to the camera, but I can interact on some level and get to know you guys, which I really enjoy. Like when I finish live streaming, there's certain things in life, I was talking to my wife about this, certain things in life that when you are done doing them, you feel just drained. They're not life-giving. Someone used that phrase today in a meeting I was in, saying something is life-giving or not life-giving. I find streaming to be life-giving. When I'm done streaming, I feel so good afterwards. I feel so happy. So I really enjoy streaming. But, I understand it's not for everybody. So I wanted to stream today, not just because I wanted to tick the box and say, well, I did this task. I like it. I enjoy it. And so even though I'm not super prepared, even though I don't have topics to share or talk about today, I've got a list of stuff over here, but I didn't prepare anything. I don't have some kind of shtick I want to take you through. At some point, I would like the streams to be, I guess I'll say, a little bit more structured. Not structured in that, segments and all that. I want it to be free-flowing to a degree, but I want it to be a little bit more focused. Like, hey, bring a topic to the table, could you? Could you do that for us? Let's see here. French Monkey says, born in France, lived there for 12 years, but then we packed everything and came to Greece. To be honest, yeah, the living situation is tough, but need to find your balance and lifestyle. 100%. 100%. And I think the Greeks and the French, pretty good at lifestyle. You guys get top marks for lifestyle. I think we in America could learn from y'all. How do you take a break? Like, take a break, learn to enjoy some of the finer things. The problem in America, I find, is we're extreme. So it's not that we work all the time. I mean, Americans are either workaholics or we're just like pigs. And I could say that because I've lived there, meaning I'm guilty. Of course, I live in the U.S., but if we're going to eat, we have to eat a ton of food. If we're going to drink, we have to drink a ton of alcohol. If we're going to go have a party, we got to burn the house down. It's got to be crazy. And if we're going to work, we're like, oh, I'm 80 hours a week. I'm grinding. I'm so busy. Everything is always over the top. It's hard to be balanced in the U.S. And I do think that when it comes to the lifestyle side of it, not necessarily productivity, et cetera, but the lifestyle side, I think the Greeks and the French, you folks in the Mediterranean do pretty darn good. You got it. The Mediterranean's got it figured out on some level. That would go for the Italians, and I'd even throw the Spanish in there too, to some degree. So yeah, that's good stuff. I would imagine too, if you were born in France and lived there for 12 years, moving at 12 years old was probably not easy. And I don't know how old you are now, but moving at 12 has to be tough. You have all your friends, you have your school, your neighborhood, etc. I have to imagine at 12 years old, as a youngster, not an easy move. French Monkey says, I watch from time to time your content. Love the way you phrase your ideas as well as your thinking. Good stuff. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very kind. So, here, I'm going to share this. We're live streaming. It's just me and you. I'm just going to share this. So here's the thing. You look at me and you see, gray hair. I've got a little bit of experience, and I have a consulting practice. I work with clients, and I actually do very well. Consulting is great. And essentially with my consulting work, I can be as busy as I want to be. And what I mean by that is I know consultants who are very intelligent, they're good at what they do, but they don't know how to go out and find work. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to go land clients. And so they can be very good at what they do, but they sit there without enough work. And they're like, man, I wish I could earn more, but I don't know how to find clients. My problem has not been that. I know how to sell. I know how to go out and find clients. I know how to look for companies that need help. I know how to identify, diagnose the help, the pain, the problem, and then make recommendations and land clients. So I can be as busy as I want to be. That's not a problem, which is a blessing. If you think about life, that's such a gift, such a gift. However, and I've been consulting full-time since 2016. Before that, I owned an agency. I had a design group, marketing, advertising design group, creative group. We did, packaging and websites and big brand projects and marketing programs and all types of collateral like annual reports and brochures and so on. It was just tons of work, good people. But I shut that down, and in 2016, I went consulting full-time. And so for the most part, I've had as much work as I've wanted, and I've been pretty successful with it. There have been some bumps and some hiccups. I've fallen short from time to time. Sometimes you take on a client and you think you're a good fit. You realize, oh, we're not a good fit. Sometimes I think that I've got the right answer. A client doesn't necessarily agree. We don't see eye to eye. It could be that I'm wrong. I'm not blaming them. But you get to a point you realize, okay, we're not a good fit for each other, mea culpa, whatever, you move on. But for the most part, successful. However, at this stage of life, you find yourself asking the question, what is it that I want to kind of be able to look back at and say I've accomplished? So at this stage of life, I could say, look, consulting is going well. I should just go full bore in, maybe hire some people to help me and just blow this thing up, make the consulting practice huge and or just big, Right now it's just me and I do really well, but we could be a $5 million company, a $10 million. That gets a bit big. But the point is, I could grow something. But honestly, when I think about doing that, it doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me. I love my clients and I love the work that I do for my clients currently. But the idea of making this bigger doesn't excite me. However, when it comes to things like this, media, communication, videos, writing articles, writing books, and building more of a media business, that like gets my heart pumping. That's exciting to me. That's where kind of the good stuff is for me. And, French Monkey, to your point, like taking ideas, distilling them down, articulating them, communicating them in ways that are insightful or different, helpful. That's what kind of gets me excited. And so I'm sitting here, doing the live stream today, but I've been working through this process of where am I taking my business and where am I putting my energy? The fact is, none of us, there aren't any of us, or maybe there are some that are just so gifted and so intelligent that they can do this, but it's hard to do multiple kind of large projects at once. You're either going to build a consulting practice and do great work for clients that pay you really well, or you're going to build a media company, take your pick, but you're not going to do all of them with excellence. You can do one with excellence and you can do multiple things kind of mediocrely. Is mediocrely a word? Mediocrely? Mediocrity with mediocrity? French Monkey says, I'm 36 now. Pretty tough change, difficult conditions, but it is what it is. I wish I had more guidance, but I found my way. See, that right there is such a great attitude. There are so many people in this world that have gotten the short end of the stick, as we like to say. They've gotten a raw deal, or they've had difficulties, or they were given challenges that they didn't ask for, and they seem unfair. And those folks, you see it in our society. People just sit infuriated that things have been unfair for them. And what you'll watch is these people year after year, decade after decade, their lives will get worse and worse. And yet they just get angrier and angrier. The fact of the matter is we are all dealt challenges. We are all dealt weaknesses, flaws, disappointments, frustrating situations, even people that have tried to do us harm. Everybody gets dealt these things on one level or another. Now, if you look at lives, some people seem to have a worse time of it than others. You look at some person, it's like, man, that guy just seems to always skate right through. He's always got cash. He's always looking healthy and good. Some people just seem to do fine. And there are other of us that are like, what happened to my hair? And how come I can't catch a break? These kinds of the struggles, as you will. But I love your attitude, which is, hey, I'm 36. Yeah, things were tough for me. I didn't like it, at 12, being yanked out of my home in France and moved. And it wasn't easy. And I wish things were different. And I wish I had some help. I wish I had people that helped me. However, it is what it is. And I found my way. I'm grateful. And I just think that's such a great attitude, because the thing is, you're always going to have these hurts and disappointments and frustrations and things that don't go your way or my way. And it's all about how we handle it. It's what's in our heart, in our mind that makes a difference. I'm not saying that we can just think good thoughts and the universe will give us goodness. I'm not New Age Gnostic at all, but I am saying things are going to happen. I don't care if you're a New Age person, a Christian, you're Jewish, whatever you are, atheist, you're smart or stupid, doesn't matter. All those things, doesn't matter what you are, you're going to have heartaches, disappointments, and frustrations. And it's all in your attitude. You can't control the universe, but you can control yourself. And I just think that's such a great attitude. French Monkey says, I'm in the same boat. I'm a visual artist, 3D generalist. I built my own brand, and it's been a wild ride from the marketing to websites, clients, products and launches, ... We're going to get a couple more. And so this is like, for me right now, is focusing on not focusing on, like figuring out, how do I make the transition? As you can imagine, with a YouTube channel, I have 33,000 subscribers to the channel, but channel subscribers doesn't equal anything really. I'm grateful if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do, would love it. And please join us in the chat while we're hanging out here. But, views per video, the monetization rate, the CPM that you get, how much you get paid per thousand, that all matters, but subscribers don't. But even at 33,000, which some people go, wow, that's huge. You got a big audience. I mean, on YouTube, 33,000 is not big at all, honestly. So sitting with a YouTube channel, a small channel, and it all my fault, but I am not the most... I have not been the most consistent, diligent with the channel. Every once in a while I show up, every once in a while I do a video. Sometimes it's good quality, sometimes it's just Uncle Mike showing up, turning the camera on, not having a clue on a Friday, like today. You can imagine that the channel doesn't throw off a ton of money. I usually get a few $100. Some months I'll make a few $100. Some months, I don't know, it's 150 in ad revenue. Well, that doesn't pay my mortgage. That doesn't pay for my my fine tastes. Uncle Mike has very rich tastes in clothing, food, my transportation, my housing. Anyway, a little tongue in cheek. I'm aesthetically oriented. We'll say that much. I like good quality stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care how humble you are, you can't live on $250 a month from YouTube ad revenue. So, I could say, well, let me try to grow it. But the point that I'm trying to make is I want to make the shift and I want to start building a media company. It's really what I want to do. And you don't need to be some BBC or Fox News or Sky. We've got things like YouTube, and there are other platforms available where you can build your own presence and you can build your own relationships and audience, and that can be a really wonderful thing. Well, to do that, there's a lot of work in that. And at my kind of stage of life and levels of responsibility, et cetera, I have to also find ways to make sure I'm paying the bills. So this is kind of like I'm just being candid with y'all. This is kind of what I am thinking through, which is, how do I make that transition? I do appreciate the client work I have and I enjoy it. And I'm not looking to just stop consulting. At the same time, to be able to build something that's more media and content oriented, you have to give it so much more attention. I can't just find 1 hour a week here and there isn't enough. I have to be able to give it more focus, more attention, more thought, and to be more purposeful. I feel like I need a little bit of a plan. There's a gap analysis. I know where I am right now. I know where I want to be. I need to put that plan together that says, how do we bridge the gap financially, time and attention, et cetera. And so I'm hoping to figure that out. And again, I'm just sharing because you guys showed up for the live stream. All right, the French Monkey, it's hard to be consistent. Been there, especially on YouTube. I'm the same. I need to upload good stuff, just can't upload a video just to meet the daily quota. Yeah, that's the other thing. So you bring up a great point. You can be consistent, but it has to be consistently decent quality. You can spend 10 years of daily uploads, but if you're uploading tripe, if what you're uploading is low quality, then, I guess you'll grow. You'll grow somewhat, but you're not going to grow a sustainable channel that will give you the resources so that you can focus on it, grow it, and make your living, creating content. One of the things I've been kind of curious about, and I've shied away from this, but I've been kind of curious about sponsored content. You'll be watching a video and someone will say, hey, this video is brought to you by, and then there's a little bit about, NordVPN or Squarespace or whoever. I've never, I shouldn't say never, but I haven't really considered that as an option for my channel. Now, honestly, if I gave the channel some attention, I don't think it would take much more for some advertisers to say, hey, we'd be interested in sponsoring a video. Now, I get a lot of sponsor video like offers or requests already. So essentially, I'll get tons of emails, and they'll come in flurries, but they're often some strange kind of Chinese company that is selling something that has nothing to do with what I'm all about. You know, it's like some foot massager, and they're like, yeah, you know, hello, great YouTuber. We love your channel. I watch every video. No, you don't. And, you know, Ping Pao Company is selling this foot massager, and we'd love to work with you, and you could advertise it on your channel. We think it'd be perfect for your audience. I'm like, you don't know my audience at all. And we'll send you a free one, you know, so that the whole thing is like, oh, I'll get a free foot massage. It just, you know, it's just such a weird, they're always weird. It's never like we want to send you, I don't know, a leather briefcase. You know, I'm a business guy. Like, I don't even think I'd use a leather briefcase. You know, we want to send you a smartphone or anything cool. It's just always some bizarre, like, cosmetics or massage thing, or like, I don't know. I just don't know. You know, auto parts. It's like, okay. So I have had a lot of those offers, although recently I have been getting more legitimate offers where it's not a company I've heard of, but it's like a legit product. Maybe it's a software product or something. And they're just saying, hey, we like your channel. What are your rates? Like, we'd like to maybe do some type of sponsorship collaboration with you. And so in those instances, I've been saying to people, look, thank you. I don't do sponsored content at this point, but I appreciate your interest. But I've not pursued that. I've not pursued it. But it does have my attention, only because there's a part of me that says, well, gee, if you did sponsored content, you know, that would help pay your bills, wouldn't it? Like, wouldn't that be a way to pay your bills? The thing that I don't like about sponsored content, and I don't, you know, like if somebody else does a video with sponsored, I don't look down on them. But I feel like you trust me. There's a level of trust between you and I. And when you get on a video with me or a live stream or something, you can pretty much count, that I'm not like trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm not trying to get you to do something to make me rich, you know? You know, for a while I did an email newsletter, paid. I also did a paid print newsletter, The New Privateer. That was a lot of fun. And, you know, it was expensive. It wasn't cheap, but it had a nice handful of people that were subscribed, and I enjoyed doing that. So, I mean, I'm not beyond doing things where I'm creating value for my audience and I'm getting paid. Like, I'm not against that. But the sponsored content, it's kind of like NordVPN. Well, I don't use NordVPN. So am I going to sit and promote NordVPN to my audience when I don't even use Nord? Or am I going to make a rule that I'll only promote things that I use? And so now am I sitting here testing everybody's product so I can do an honest read? I love NordVPN. It's the best. You should use it too, you know. Nord's going to copy strike this video because they're like, he kept talking about us and we didn't pay him. And Nord is not sponsoring this video. No one is. So that gets a little squishy for me. That's not to say that I won't do that, but I am saying, you know, I wonder, like, is that really the best way to realize income from the video? So these are the things that I kind of kick around. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I mean, what do you think? When you look at a YouTuber, you know, they're getting some ad revenue typically. Like, do you ever think about, I mean, I think about this all the time because I create videos. When I watch other creators, I'm always thinking like, well, how are they making their income? Do they have a staff? Like some of these channels, they've got staff. They're running multiple projects. I mean, it's a big deal. These are $1 million companies and up. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are. There's not a single ad product that has been sponsored on YouTube that I actually use. Yeah, see, I'm the same way. I watch YouTube. I see these creators say this is brought to you by, I mean, all right, so I'm aware of NordVPN. I keep mentioning them. For a while, Roku, was it? No, Roku. I forget the name. It wasn't Roku, but there was some like earbud company. Squarespace and Wix for a while were pretty hot. Now you see stuff like Hims and some of these medicines. Some of these like Butcher Block and Fresh, I forget some of the names, but like these prepared food where they'll send you your food for the week in a box. I see a lot of this. I don't buy any of that stuff. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what I've seen on YouTube. I bought one thing once, and this was Instagram, funny enough. Years ago, I was scrolling Instagram, and what's the product called? Shoot. It's a tablet. So I've been an Apple fanboy. I hate to say fanboy, but I've been an Apple guy since the 1980s. And when the iPad came out, I had one, and of course I've had multiple iPads. But I was kind of getting tired of the iPad world, and I wanted something, pardon me, where I could take handwritten notes. I want to sit in a client meeting and take notes. And rather than use a notebook, an analog notebook, I thought at the time that I would get one of these, I'm just going to bring up my browser here. I want to say Paperlike, but that's not the iPad Alt E-Ink. All right, we're going to find it, ladies and gentlemen. So E-Ink tablets. It's an E-Ink tablet, but I'm trying to remember the name. I hate the fact that I cannot remember. This is terrible radio. I probably lost all my viewers are probably like, I'm out. I'm not in for this. Let's do this. I'm just going to look up E-Ink options tablets. Jeepers. Remarkable. There it is. All right. I bought the Remarkable. The Remarkable is one of these e-ink tablets, and you can write in it by hand, and it's just grayscale. It's black and white. And I was scrolling Instagram. My goodness, did that take a lot of work to get there. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I was scrolling through Instagram, not in the market necessarily. In the back of my mind, I wanted to figure out kind of how a tablet fits into my workflow. And I thought it would be nice to have something that's not cluttered with video. And I'd read, not too long before, a couple years before that, I'd read Deep Work by Cal Newport. And I'd done a pretty good job of just kind of like pushing distraction out of my life. And I thought an e-ink tablet would probably be pretty good, pretty distraction-free. You don't have all the apps and all the nonsense. It's just you fire it up. It's like really lightweight and small, thin. And you write your notes and you're done. That's it. No distraction. That was in the back of my mind, but I wasn't shopping. But one day I was kind of scrolling through Instagram and there was a Remarkable ad. And of course I'd seen their info before. And this is crazy because it's a lot of money. I mean, it was like, I don't know, it was $500 or so. I can't remember how much it was. But on a whim, on impulse, I bought it. I just bought it. I'm like, yeah, that's the answer. Boom, done. And I remember doing it too because I was in Pittsburgh in a hotel room. I traveled down, I was north of Pittsburgh to do a podcast interview with somebody. This was like, I don't know, 2019 maybe? I can't remember. And I'd probably read Cal Newport's book 3 years before that, in 2016, maybe even 15, whenever it came out. But yeah, I was sitting in a hotel room in Pittsburgh. I had done or was about to do the next day, I can't remember, a podcast interview. And I was like, screw it. I bought this thing. And I found out pretty quickly that it just wasn't quite what I was hoping. It didn't fit into my workflow the way I wanted it to. And the French monkey throughout their Kindle. Thank you. No, that wasn't it, but we know it's the Remarkable. It's the Remarkable. So let's see here. I bought that thing, used it for a while, and then just decided, you know what? I'm going analog. I use a bevy of notebooks. I use notebooks for everything. So for instance, this one, the soft cover one, this is my daily to-do list, almost like a bullet journal. And I just keep track of all the to-dos and notes from meetings and whatnot. And then I have a number of colored notebooks, and each one of these is for a client. I've got a handful of these. So I have one client whose brand color is a red, another one with a nice deep blue, and so on. So I try to get a notebook based on my client's brand color. And then whenever I'm on the phone, whenever I'm in a meeting, whenever I've got research that I'm doing related to that client, it just all goes in that notebook. And that way, whenever I have to talk to the client or look something up, it's all in one place, which is really cool. And it's rare for me that I'm dealing with, if I'm here in my office, I might deal with multiple clients. Oh, they're all on my desk, big deal. But if I'm traveling for client meetings, I might see 2 clients in a week. So it's not like I got I don't have to carry my whole library with me. But yeah. French Monkey says, I also have a tablet. Thought about doing the same thing, but to be honest, I take notes on paper still. See, that's what I'm doing too. I went back to paper. I did end up getting an iPad Pro, the original one. I still have it somewhere. I don't see where it is. And I will use that from time to time. So for instance, on my iPad Pro, I have a note app. I can handwrite notes. I did put the Paperlike creates this laminate film you can put over the iPad Pro's glass, so that it has a little bit more resistance and it feels like writing with pencil and paper, pen and paper. It makes it easier to write. It's not as slippery. I do use the iPad for certain kinds of notes, sometimes sketching, mind mapping. Sometimes I want to have a mind map like for content ideas, and I don't want that on just a loose piece of paper. But I use the iPad Pro less and less. I rarely use it. There's a few lists I keep on there. So for instance, I'll every year I start a list for how many books, like I catalog every book I've read, every year. So 2025, I think so far I've read maybe 11 books. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm about to finish 2 more, so that'll be 13. By the end of the year, maybe I've read 15 to 20 books at the most. So I just keep track. I can look at those. But even in that, I just keep a list. That's just a list that I handwrite in a note app. I handwrite actually all my notes. So for instance, I read this book, Brain of the Firm by Stafford Beer, not too long ago, a couple months ago. And I've got a bibliography card, a bib card that I keep in there just with the title and the year it was printed. And then as I'm reading, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but as I'm reading, I will scribble down notes of interest based on the page. It'll just say like in parentheses, page 195, just 195. And the note here says quantification versus numeration. And all that does is that tells me on page 195 that there's some info on quantification versus numeration that I found interesting. And then I will go back later and I will write out a note on an index card. I will give it an address, and then I will put it in this box right here in the background. That's my Zettelkasten. So that's where I keep all my notes. It seems like a lot, doesn't it? French Monkey, I do love Miro for mind maps and projects. Yeah, some of those mind map apps are pretty cool, quite frankly. I don't use them, but they are cool. I will give you that. There are a number of apps that I love. They're just very cool. They're beautiful. Their output is amazing. But at the same time, I'm like, for as beautiful as this is, I feel like my mind works better with just simple pen and paper. Like if I just sit with a piece of paper and a pen, a pencil, or a whiteboard and a marker, I'm actually more creative. One of the problems I have, though, with digital apps like that is when you create something on a digital app, like this notebook, I can't help but see it. You know, if it sits on my desk, if it's open, if it's like I can see it. With digital stuff, when I can't see it. I don't see the files. I don't see the pages. I don't see the papers. I don't see the content. It just kind of gets stored away invisibly. And unless I remember that it's there, I don't often think to go back to it. But if I have something I'm working on, I keep it on my desk, piece of paper, a notebook, etc. Just kind of right there. But that's me. Well, if you're just joining us, if you're joining the French Monkey and I, please say hello. By the way, what a great name, the French Monkey. I think that's fun. I had coffee this morning. I live in Charleston, and I met someone for coffee and went to this place for the first time. The name of the cafe was the Chatty Magpie Cafe. Chatty Magpie Cafe. I thought that was a great name. Lovely woman, too, that runs it. French Monkey says, I usually work with node systems. Most 3D softwares are node-based, so yeah, with digital, I need this infinite scroll space, hard to do on paper. Oh, I can't even imagine. Like, yeah, I have no criticism, no critique. The kind of work I'm doing doesn't require that type of space. I have found, this is an American legal pad, so this would be 8.5 by, what is it? Maybe 13. I'm not sure. 8.5 by 14. I can't remember. I have found that this size can be limiting. When I had my agency, we had a big digital printer, and that could run tabloid size sheets. They were like 11 by 14. They were amazing. And so you could, print stuff and fold it and collate it, make a booklet, or a book. But the 11 by 14 sheet I loved because I could just pull a sheet of tabloid paper, and it was nice and big, and it just gave you so much space to work on paper, which was really, really wonderful. And you can buy that. I mean, I don't have to have a printer. I mean, I could just go to the stationery store and buy a ream of it, have it sitting around. But yeah, that's me. So yeah, if you're just joining, make sure to say hi in the chat. That's what makes this so much fun for your host, is if you speak up and say hello. I'm not trying to shame you. Look, if you want to stay anonymous, I get it. Or if you're like, I don't want to talk to that guy. He looks like a jerk. I'm just going to sit and watch him, but I'm not going to say a word. I get it. I've been there. I understand. However, no one's going to know who you are. Just say, hey. It can't hurt. Just a little hello. How's it going? Let me know how your Friday's going. Hopefully y'all are doing great. I'm very grateful for the weekend. I think I'm going to be working this weekend, though, however. I've got a project I'm busy working on, and I want to try to get it buttoned up before Monday, so I might spend a little bit of time tomorrow. I'm in the home stretch. I don't have a ton to do, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time tomorrow working. But I'm curious, what do you got on for your weekend? Tell me. Tell Uncle Mike what's going on. And we've been live streaming, for about 45 minutes now? All right, what do we got? French Monkey says, there's a great sponsor product for you. Would watch some good paper books. Just an idea. Yeah, see, I've been tempted. I mean, again, I keep saying, here's the problem. If I had started YouTube younger, there's a problem with getting older. At least I've experienced. The things that capture your attention when you're younger are different than the things that capture your attention when you're older. What do I mean by that? I still think, beauty is beauty, right? I'm not like blind. It's not like I've gotten old and decrepit. However, I used to be, and I still, like, for instance, let's talk about music. Love music. I still love music. I love it. But when I was younger, 10 years, 15, just 10 years younger, but let's say 15 years younger, I used to love, like, I was into it, finding esoteric music. I was listening to these like strange Russian avant-garde experimental weird stuff. I used to listen to like a band called Deerhoof, which was just almost like noise. It just like all this weird stuff. Like I liked finding unique, kind of different, creative, like I was into it. I love the album art and the design that went with it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, at my age, I still really appreciate a lot of that stuff. But if you talked to me 10, 15 years ago, I could have done a podcast series. I could have talked about this stuff for years. And now I'm like, yeah, I enjoy it, but I don't really want to talk about it. I don't think it matters that much. It's what I enjoy. But I don't feel like this is something where I want to like devote my heart and soul. And so I think what ends up happening, at least for me, I can't speak for other fellas and gals my age, but I've found myself more interested in wrestling with the deeper questions, purpose, meaning, the philosophical, theological questions, the cultural issues, the ideas underlying the culture and the culture war, and like just all that kind of stuff really fascinates me. And so there's a part of me, like I was into paper making paper. I was into commercial printing and letterpress printing for many years decades of my life. I've been into all kinds of like publishing and printing arts. Have always been fascinated. Typography, etc. And I still love those things. Like it's not like I don't care anymore. But I can't just like deep dive and get lost in that world. I just feel like these bigger kind of cultural, human, eternal, metaphysical issues, like that's what kind of has my soul, my heart. That's what holds my attention. And that's what I care about. And so I sit here saying, on one hand, like, oh, I would love to be able to do like paper reviews and notebook reviews and ink and pen reviews, all kinds of like that kind of stuff. If I were younger, and I don't know why I didn't do this, like when I was young, I don't know why, because YouTube has been around since 2007. I would have been in my 40s. Is that right? Did I turn 40? I think I turned 40 in 2007. That's terrible. I'm gonna have to get out the calculator. 2007 minus. Yeah, I turned 40. In 2007, I turned 40. Still young enough to kind of do a review channel. I could have done tech reviews. I could have done product reviews, etc. And I probably would have been happy with that. Like, I think that would have been satisfying to me. But at this stage, if I sat and I'm not against, I will do a video from time to time. I don't mind talking about a product I use. I don't mind talking about the tools that I use, my experience using the tool. I think that's helpful. That's just saying, hey, let me take you behind the scenes and share with you, like talking about, the Zettelkasten over here, like that box. And see all those like note cards stacked up? Those are all my notes that I have like pulled and drawn from books. Talking about that system. How do I do what I do? How do I use them? Blah, blah, blah. What works, what doesn't. I think that's great content. But I could not do a channel on that. I couldn't do a channel on note-taking, book reading, productivity, etc. But I could have. I think I could have a long time ago. However, to your point, I'll just put this back up there. If I had a sponsor, if like the company that makes these notebooks, I think the company's called Livestream. I think I'm saying that correctly. It's a German company. If they said, hey, stupid, we would love it if you would talk about our notebooks. I'd be like, that's a terrible German accent. Sorry, not even close. I'd be like, yeah, let's talk. I love your product. I use it all the time. So that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Anyway, by the way, French Monkey, I see, you say I see your point. Just for what it's worth, I'm just riffing. I'm just rambling. It's as if you and I were just hanging out having a beer together. I'm not trying to say no or whatever. It's just kind of talking off the top of my head. But I have found it interesting as I've aged what I care about. There are things that I enjoy. So it used to be that I cared a lot about what I enjoyed, if that makes sense. Now it's like I enjoy those things, but I care about intellectual history, theology, economics, like these kind of topics that I find fascinating. And the confluence of these things, how these things come together, what are the impacts, where are we as human beings, and where do we go? What do we do about it? That's the kind of stuff that I like. But yeah, this is good. I'm very grateful for y'all showing up. And I'm happy to hang out for a little bit longer. I'm not in a rush. But at the same time, I understand some of y'all in Europe have to go to bed. I'm surprised you're still awake on YouTube of all places. That's another thing that I've changed recently. I used to get in bed, speaking of the iPad, and I might sit and watch YouTube or Netflix. I might watch movies, etc. And then I'd find like I couldn't fall asleep. You stay because your mind just, all that blue light and all the flickering, and if it's a good story or whatever, your kind of mind is racing. So I don't watch anything. I read. If I get in bed, I read. And then I find like usually within an hour. So if I get in bed, I'll try to get in bed early. Like this morning, I was up at 5 a.m. So last night, I was in bed by 9. And I want to say by 9:30, I turned out the lights because I had to get up early. But that's been real good too, is just to avoid the content in bed. French Monkey says, yeah, you're doing great. Good flow. I used to run my podcast in Greece back in 2021, and I do understand the need to keep the discussion going. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't want you to think I was arguing, just more of a, because there's nothing worse than when someone tries to help you. You say, oh, I don't know. And then they say, well, what about this? And you go, no, that's not a good idea. And they go, okay, well, what about that? And you go, no, that's not a good idea. It's like, well, why are you asking if you're not wanting to hear what I have to say? My wife had a friend, and it was kind of sad. I think she was going through a tough time, but it was kind of weird. She'd say to my wife, oh, do you know how to can you show me how to do something, like, I don't know, make a salad. Can you show me how you chop the lettuce? My wife said, yeah, it's easy. Just do it this way. And she's like, no, I don't think I'll do it that way. It was just weird. It was like, my wife wasn't saying to her, stop, you're doing it wrong. She would ask her, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? I don't know how to do it. Would you show me? And no matter what my wife would say or show, then she would say, no, I'm not going to do it that way. And she's a sweet girl. She really is a nice girl. They're still friends. It's not like she was bad, but it was a strange behavior. And I just chalked it up to, it had nothing to do with my wife. I think there were some personal problems that we were not aware of. And I think she's just going through a hard time, and it was just kind of showing up sideways a little bit there. And we do that as people. We don't realize sometimes how other things in our life affect us. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. I hope everybody's ready for a great weekend. I hope you have a great weekend, and I appreciate you joining me. And do me a favor, if you haven't already, subscribe, like I said, and keep an eye out. I appreciate the time, and yeah, I want to do this more often. I keep saying it, but I enjoy the live streaming. Like when I end this stream, I'm going to be up. For me, this is just like, oh, that was fun. It was great to talk to some people. So, French Monkey, thank you so much. You made this a great show. Special shout out to you. Thanks for chatting with me. God bless you all the way in Greece. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have a great weekend. All right, everybody, that's it. Cheers.